Hey guys, this is Andrew here with 8020, and today, since many of you have asked, hey, how can we use a straight razor and how can we start learning, what are some of the steps, this is exactly what we're going to be doing today. We're going to show you how to use a straight razor, how to handle it properly, and then we're going to show you how to practice with it on a balloon. Here, before we start, it's very important that you understand how to operate a straight razor handle. This is a very basic straight razor, there's nothing special to it. It's a Gillette Plus straight razor. It's very light and it's very easy to use. There are many different types of straight razor handles. Some of them will have a slide in, some of them will open up like this. And there are ones where you can just kind of switch in and out the blades. But if you were looking for something simple and easy, I prefer this one much better than the slide in, because you end up maybe losing that part, or it gets annoying sometimes to put it in, to slide the handle back in. So this is very easy. First of all, it's important to kind of identify a couple of areas in the straight razor and what they're called. There's a lot of different parts that we can sit here and name, but the main ones are this part right here is called the tail or the tang. This would be the head of the blade or the top of the blade. This would be the bottom of the blade. So this would be considered where the blade sits. It goes in here. And then this is the point of the blade, the heel of the blade, and then you have the body or the scale. So when we ask you to rest your pinky on the tail or the tang, you know that the pinky has to go here. Put your index on the top. This would be the top. These are just words that we use in order for you to understand where you need to have your hand placement on the blade. Okay, so now that you have the blade in front of you, we're gonna go ahead and open up the blade, and then we're gonna take this apart, we're gonna put it inside, and we're gonna start practicing. But first and foremost, you wanna go ahead and strain out your blade like so, open it up, and then you wanna take this part over here and slide it out. So this is the locking mechanism that joins or puts pressure on these two pieces here to make sure that it holds the blade tight. So you wanna, once you close it, it holds it tight, then you open it, it becomes loose. And then in order to actually separate these two parts over here, you want to stick your nail or your finger in there and just kind of pry it open and slide it like this, and it becomes sort of like a butterfly. So here we have the blade fully open. Then we're going to go ahead and open up our blade, get it out of the paper. Be very careful and do it very slowly when you're doing this for the first time, because especially if it's a new blade, you're not really sure which side is the blade going to be on. You don't want to end up grabbing it like this or mishandling it and cutting yourself. These blades are very, very, very sharp. Once you have the blade, you want to go ahead and set it right here. Now, every blade comes with these grooves, and these grooves are meant for different style of blade handles, but they generally all come with these grooves. And find the grooves that sit well with these notches, set it in, push it all the way to the back. You don't want it coming out like that. You don't want it going over the grooves. You want it to sit right on the grooves and fully flush. And then you're gonna lift this piece, you're gonna lift it over. Don't drag it like this to try and close it, because it won't close because of these grooves. So you wanna lift it over and then align it and then drop it in. And now you're gonna go ahead and close the back end. And now it's nice and tight, sticks out just this much. Some barbers, they like to have it sticking out way too far out, and that's just how they're comfortable using it. I would highly recommend that you keep it as close as possible to the edge, so that when you're using it, you're not accidentally cutting the client because you're trying to put pressure, but it's already sticking out too far. So we try to keep it as close as possible so you have a good idea of where the blade is. Now that you have the blade in, you're gonna go ahead and close it right away. Anytime you have a blade in, if you're not using it, this should be closed. You don't want it dropping on your foot, or you go to grab it and it's open, you grab it from the wrong end, and then you cut yourself. This blade is very, very sharp. Trust me, I speak from experience. I've had it done to me before. Okay, so now that you have your straight razor ready and loaded and you're ready to start practicing, the best way to practice and the safest way to practice is to use a balloon. So grab a big balloon, blow it up pretty much to where it's almost where you can't really put any more in it. Air into it, don't pop it obviously, but you want it nice and tight. You don't want it loose or anything like that. So get a nice big balloon, preferably a colored one. Don't get a white one, just so you can see the shaving soap on it pretty easily. You could do this by sitting down in the beginning just so that you have control. You kind of put the balloon between your legs and then you start shaving, and we can show you that. Or you can have it on the station and then you can put the shaving cream and just going with the strokes so you can learn how to angle the blade properly. And if the balloon pops, that means you cut the client. Hopefully nobody gets a balloon full of shaving cream popping in your face. Then you'll have shaving cream to clean up after. So make sure that you blow it up nice and stiff. We're gonna go ahead and show you how to start. Okay, so now that the blade is ready, the balloon's ready, your shaving soap is ready. Now we wanna talk about how do you place this razor blade handle in your hand and how do you hold it. So first of all, you wanna open it up, and then you want the tail end to swing over this way. So swing it through, and then it's gonna look something like this. And then you're gonna hold up your hand and you wanna insert the razor blade, let it sit like this, where your pinky sits on the tail and your index sits on the top of the blade. And then turn it over, and then put your thumb right where this groove is so you can have support. And this is basically how you want to hold it. So pinky goes here, your index goes on the top, and then your thumb supports it with these two fingers here. And this is how we're gonna shave. So this is the kind of movement that you want to shave. Now it's very important that you learn how to use your wrist instead of your hand, especially if you're trying to do smaller movements. You don't want to have to drag your hand all the way back. You just want to move your wrist like this. Okay, so practice doing that, where you're having slower movements, slower strokes, with just using your wrist instead of moving your whole hand backward. It's very important that you work on the angle of the blade when you're setting it on the client or on the balloon, and we're going to show you how to do that. So now that you have your straight razor all set up and you have the balloon inflated and your shaving soap, or you can even use a shaving gel, whatever you choose to use, you want to go ahead and lather up the balloon. Small area, you don't have to do the whole balloon. Try to keep the shaving soap as consistent as possible. You don't want some areas to have more than others. Now that you have lathered up, you want to go ahead and open up your blade, place it in the position that we discussed. And this is where we're going to show you how you position the blade onto the skin of the client or the balloon in order to avoid any cuts. A couple of things. First, we want to make sure that the blade is always on an angle, so it's never like this and you're dragging it over. Second of all, we don't want it too much on an angle, because then you're not going to be really cutting any hairs. It's just going to glide right over the hairs. A good way to always measure your angle, and this will become like second nature after you've done it a few times, but you want to kind of lay it almost flat and then tilt it just a little bit over, just so that you see the blade kind of able to get rid of the soap. If it's getting rid of the soap, that means it's cutting the hairs. But if you lay it too flat and you go over, then it's not gonna really do anything to the soap, or becomes choppy like this. So we wanna make sure that the angle of the blade is able to clearly get rid of the soap without leaving anything behind. Once you've figured out this angle, you're gonna slowly glide the blade over. Now remember, you don't need to put pressure. You're not trying to cut down a tree here. You're only cutting hair. So no need for pressure, just set the blade on the right angle and let the blade do its work for you. You don't need pressure and you don't need speed. Take your time and do it slowly. Make sure you do it right. The last thing you want is this balloon popping in your face with shaving cream on, or cutting a client. Practice doing this, where you are keeping the blade straight and you're using the full width of the blade in order to get rid of the shaving soap. Always remember, once you've done a couple of strokes, you want to wipe off the hairs and the soap off of the blade. Always have a towel nearby that's ready so you can wipe off the blade. Keeping the blade clean will allow you to have a cleaner shave. If you look at my wrist, my hand is not moving backwards. It's just my wrist. So my wrist dictates how far of a movement I'm gonna be doing. So if I'm only able to twist my wrist this much, then this is how long my stroke will be. But if I was to move my hand, then I'm more prone to doing really longer strokes. When you're shaving on a balloon, it may be okay, but when you're doing it on a client, it becomes uncomfortable as the blade is dragging for a longer period of time. So you always wanna just take smaller strokes so that you are keeping the client satisfied and comfortable with your strokes. There you have it. We have shaved the balloon and didn't pop, which is a plus. Now, what I would highly recommend is you practice again on the same area. After you've done that 2 or 3 times, now we're gonna flip the balloon over and we're gonna actually come to the tip of the balloon. And this represents a softer skin area where you might need to stretch out the skin of the client and then you shave. This will very likely happen if someone is maybe a little bit older, has looser skin, whatever the case may be. This is what you want to practice on in order where you have an idea of what it feels like to have a little bit looser skin, where you have to stretch it out before you shave. So go ahead and grab your shaving soap again and lather up that area. Now we're gonna start from the top. So you're gonna take this part here and you want to slowly shave it. And this represents shaving around the mustache, kind of the smaller strokes, more detail. Now here in this case, because it's a tight area, you don't have to use the full width, the full size of the blade. You're just going to use the tip or the point of the blade in order to get these smaller areas. And again, make sure you keep it clean. You see how my thumb in my other hand is stretching out in the balloon? Always remember, when you're stretching the skin and shaving, you want to make sure that your stretching is close to where you're shaving. So I don't want to be stretching from here, but I'm shaving all the way down here. I want to keep where I'm stretching close to where I'm shaving. And there you have it. So again, practice this multiple times. Even if what you can do is you can have a balloon that's blown up to this extent where it's nice and tight and stiff. And then you can have another balloon that's not as inflated as this one, where it's got a little bit more play. And then you can really practice, the whole idea with looser skin, shaving a balloon that's not, as stretched as this one, so you can get better and better at doing that. Okay, so now that we have shaved the balloon, practiced multiple times, you practiced how to open up the blade, how to put it in, how to close it, how to get it ready. Now we want to make sure that you know how to take the blade back out, dispense of it properly, where you hold the blade that you've already used on the client so you don't cut yourself with a blade that's already been used, and how you dispense of it and how you clean your handle. Okay, so now that we have done the shave, we want to take out the blade and we want to make sure that we dispense of it properly. So first of all, you want to go ahead and open up your blade, bring it back into this position. Take out pop out the locking mechanism, which is this part right over here. So grab it like this, slide this piece out. And then again, you wanna put your nail in here and always slide it off. Sometimes it might fall over on the table. That's why it's always important to do it over a countertop or something so you're not dropping it on the floor. You want to take this and put it in your alcohol and water solution, or spray it with whatever your public health they ask you to do, and everywhere is different. Here we have to soak it in alcohol and water solution for 10 minutes before we take it out. So you can go ahead and set it in that, so that way it's all clean. And then this blade that you have here that's used, it's very, very important that you pay attention how you're holding it. You don't want to mistakenly go ahead and grab it from the front. You don't know what people have if while you're shaving them or something. So you always want to make sure you're grabbing it from the side, and then like so. And then you want to take this and you want to put it into your blades disposable box. Don't throw it on the floor. Don't put it in the garbage bin. Don't hand it over to your friend. Make sure that as soon as you're done with it, you take it and you set it directly into the blades disposable box. This is what a blades disposable box looks like. You can buy this from, I think we got this from the Shave Factory or some other barber supply. You can even get them from Amazon. It's plastic. It's got a lid. It closes. This is where you want to throw in your blade. So once you've picked up your blade, just toss it in here and then you're done. Again, make sure that all your used blades, and even if a blade that you don't use but gets dropped on the floor, take it, put it right here. Don't throw it in the garbage or try to sweep it up. So here you have it. We showed you how to use the straight razor, how to position your hand when using it, the angle, how to practice on a balloon. Sorry, I gotta sneeze. So after going through this demonstration on how to open up the blade, how to put the blade in, close it, how to use it, and how to position it in your hand, and how you practice on a balloon, now your next step is to, after you've practiced maybe 5, 10, 20 times on a balloon, now you want to try on a real person. It's very important that you have someone that you know, somebody that you're comfortable with, somebody that's not going to put you under stress, to practice the first couple of times. The easiest part for you to try and practice how to use this blade on someone is probably on the back of their neck. Find someone that's young, that doesn't have a lot of loose skin, so you can practice the first couple of times and make sure they have their head all the way down so the skin is nice and stretched for you. Go ahead and lather that up and then use it. Same exact steps as we do with the balloon, but we're gonna show it to you on a real person in our next video. So please make sure you follow and hit the like button, and we look forward to seeing you again.